Hello and welcome to Joy Comes in the Morning. I have the honor of being with you today and sharing a little bit about my heart and all of that. So what I want to talk to you about today is something that we actually introduced officially at Encounter Night last week, and that just happens to be where my husband Zach and I lead. And as when we basically revealed these foundations, if you will, or pillars of building, and I'll give you a little backstory on it. So about a year ago, we were doing Encounter Night, and it was amazing. And it was intentional, Holy Spirit led, hey, just sit with me, learn how to be still, learn how to flow, all of that, and really focusing on intimacy with the Lord. And then the beginning of this year, I felt the Lord shifting things. And so I heard these pillars, and it was pillars of I don't know, who you are and kind of what you want to go after. And I did not come up with them. They're actually from Bill Johnson, but I heard these, and it was such a, when you hear things and it kind of just hits you, it sparks something inside of you. That's what it did. And so I was that is who I want to be. And I knew that was something that I wanted to build upon with Encounter Night. And so I'm going to share those with you. So these are they're pillars, if you will, and I'll explain each one of them as we go. So this is kind of the umbrella, and it's that we are stewards of the divine. Growing up, I don't know if anyone else thought this, but I felt I had a pretty good relationship with Jesus, God, and Holy Spirit was I don't think I would have said this. Well, I wouldn't have said this, but this was the understanding I had. That Holy Spirit is more of this genie who, when you need something, Holy Spirit's there for you. I knew you hear a lot about the Comforter, Holy Spirit being the Comforter, and so that's what I knew of the Holy Spirit. So, but we are stewards of the divine, meaning it's all three. They're all uniquely a part of the Godhead. And so as we steward the divine, we actually make space. We hold space for the divine. We treasure it. We value it. We honor it. And so that is the umbrella foundation or pillar that's that goes over all three of these. We are stewards of the divine. And the next one is that we are stewards of the testimony. So this one, it gave language to what I was feeling, because if you've noticed at all, healings can get boring. And if you've been in a service where there's a healing, it's almost we do this polite golf clap, but it doesn't really change anything for us. We're just oh yay, they're feeling better, that's great. But that's where it stops. And so a testimony is actually a sign that points to something else. So if you were going to a restaurant and you saw the sign for the restaurant, you wouldn't just look at the sign and say, oh, that's amazing, that's where I'm at. No, the sign points to something greater. In the same way, a testimony is pointing to God. We don't want to just know his works and what he can do for us. We actually want to know him. And so in the way of the healer, if we get healed, we don't just want it to stop there. We want to actually know who the healer is. It points to the healer and to know him in that way. We don't want to know his works. We don't want to just know his works. We want to know his ways. Like when you look at the Israelites, they knew his acts, like God's acts. Like God did miracles. He gave them manna every day, and the miracles got boring. Like they get boring. Miracles can get boring. But like they knew of God's acts. And Moses knew his ways. Moses went that step farther where it was like beyond just what God can do to who are you? Like, who are you? That's where Moses went. And I think like the interesting thing to like kind of point out is they all had access to God. Like they all had access. But Moses, and even like you see Joshua too, like Joshua, he waited with Moses, like he was in the tent, like he wanted to know his ways. So that is the first one, is stewards of the testimony. The second one is stewards of the ways of God. Kind of like similar thing to what I was just talking about, like knowing his ways. We don't just want to stop at knowing his works. And then in Exodus 33:13. So I was looking at this just a little bit ago. So Exodus 33, like just beyond this verse that I'll read, this is where like Moses was like asking for God to show his face. And then he said like, my goodness will pass before you. And so in Exodus 33:13, it says, show me now your way that I may know you. So again, like it's pointing to knowing you. To knowing him beyond just what he can do for us, but knowing who he is. And then the third one, let me go back. So whenever he unveils a part of his nature, it always comes with the invitation to know him in that way and to encounter him. And so this goes along with what we've been talking about, but it goes a little deeper. Like, so there's always an invitation, like when God heals, when he provides, when he shows himself to us in a certain way, there's always an invitation to know him and to encounter him, which I think is beautiful because that shows like that he actually cares to like go beyond just taking care of us. Like he's a good father and he takes care of us really well, but he's actually more interested in knowing us. And so he has that invitation for us to know him as well, which is just beautiful. Yeah, we're no longer satisfied with healing. We want to know the healer. Okay, so the last point is that we are stewards of the presence, which I absolutely love this. Like, so with all of these, there is a weight. When I heard them, and then I was like actually sitting with them and like, okay, I want to implement this in my life. Like I want to steward the testimony. I want to steward the ways of God, and I want to steward his presence. I want to steward the divine. There was a weight to that. And I felt it even when we released this to Encounter Night. There was a weight and a responsibility that like when you become aware of who you are as a person and like our responsibility to actually like hold space and to honor him and to like honor the testimonies and like ask like, Holy Spirit, what do you want to show me in this? And to make space for him, like there's a weight to that because there's also a responsibility that comes to us. This isn't just something that is really like nice to hear, like that first, the umbrella one that I shared, we are stewards of the divine. That has a huge weight to it. And I don't know if like you can, like even just hearing those, I don't know if you can feel that, but there is a responsibility, and it's amazing because like when we create space and we actually honor and we steward what we've been given, there's this like exchange, and it's incredible. It's amazing that we can do that. And I was even thinking like back to like, David and going way back. So like they had their temples, they had, like all the different things, like even with Moses, like Moses had the place, like the Holy of Holies, and they stewarded the divine, like they stewarded all of those things, his presence. And it is that way for us, but we've like gotten so like lazy with it that it doesn't have that fear of the Lord and the honor. And I do feel like he's calling the church back to that, like back to the fear of God. There's like this level of like, so I don't think I really fully understand even like the fear of God thing, because like, so you hear people say like, well, it's not like being afraid of God. So then like I would always ask like, well, what is it? Like, if it's not being afraid of God, what is it? But it is this deep like honor and respect, and it is the stewarding of what you've been given, and it's incredible like awe and wonder. And also like if you think of like someone that you like really respect, like that you hold in like highest regard, there's like a different way that you approach them. And so there's the aspect of God being a good father and being like so kind and loving, but then there's the aspect of, wow, you were like the creator of the universe, and you're amazing and you're powerful, and yet you still see me. So it's like this, there's more than one side to God, and he's always wanting to show us different sides of his face. And that phrase I just said, like seeing a different side of his face, there's always more sides to his face. Like you see it in each different person, like because we're all created so unique, but we all carry a part of him. And so there's always more to learn about God. But especially right now in this season, I feel like there's a coming back to the fear of God, and coming back into actually honoring what we've been given and making space for it, and giving, like celebrating when there is a testimony and like God actually like did something, like celebrating that and asking Holy Spirit, like, is there anything that you want me to do with this? Like, is there anything you want me to show me in this? Like when his presence come, we steward that really well. We steward that, we make space for it. So the statement that I want to leave you with is that we would become so provoked and unsettled to know him, that there would be this stirring in your heart as you're listening to this to know him more and to know him deeper, that we wouldn't be okay with just seeing the healing happen and leaving it there, that we wouldn't be okay with just, hey, there's a provision, and not going farther. That now that you've heard this, that you would actually become provoked to know him more and to encounter him. Remember I said the invitation, every time like he shows up in a new way, or even in a way that you've seen before, there's always an invitation to know him in that way and encounter him. So I just want to just encourage you as you spend time with the Lord, like even just going maybe as homework, to ask him, like, what do you want to show me about who you are today? And begin to ask him those questions. Begin to get curious, because he so longs to be with you and to encounter you. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. It was an honor to just share a little bit about what we've been up to, and just the amazingness of God, that he reveals himself in so many different ways to us. And this is just, it's a journey that we get to go on with him. So